Yo guys, what's up? Outcastzero here, and welcome back to the SDM Destiny Podcast. And this is episode 2, I believe. And I am joined by the illustrious Kahuna.
Illustrious? I can't even spell that, let alone know what it is. No, it's a pleasure to be back, and thank you for having me on your channel.
Yeah, this time we're on my channel, and that's what
channel.
That's what we're going to try and do, isn't it? Keep it 1 week your channel, the other week mine, back and forth. We'll share the videos, share the love.
Well, it's definitely, we're a sharing kind of sort, and also twofold, given the fact that, the SDM Brotherhood is separated by not a fair distance, to kind of show the best of what both consoles and Destiny. I think it's only fair since, as we mentioned last week, you're playing on PlayStation 4 and I'm playing on Xbox One.
Yeah.
It gives us a chance to mix the videos up. I mean, yours will be the PlayStation 4 footage, mine's will be the Xbox One. And it will really be a case of, we'll put it out to the community, see if anyone can actually spot any difference, because from what I've seen thus far, I really can't.
No, not really, to be honest. And it's hard to, we'll be able to, if any, spot any differences due to the fact is we'll have the raw footage as such. But it'll be even harder for those of you watching on YouTube, because at the end of the day, YouTube formats it to the, to the one type of file, and then you're kind of missing out on all that good imagery as such.
All that wonderful, color saturation,
exactly,
higher frame rates. But then again, maybe we'll just mix it up and keep people guessing, and see if we can start a fanboy war. That's always fun. Sit in the middle.
The funniest thing is, really, we're nowhere near close to being fanboys, the both of us, to be honest, because we both own
this is true
everything. So that's a good thing. But why be a fanboy to one console when you can have both?
Indeed.
Just greedy. Anyway, so how are you finding it this week, Kahuna?
This week? Well, it's certainly been an interesting week, I must admit. It's like I have put in not as much time as I was anticipating. I myself, I haven't progressed quite as far as I was kind of initially hoping. I know you've got further through the ranks than I have. However, kind of mirroring my initial sort of thoughts, I'm still staggered by how smooth it's been. I know that isn't necessarily the case for everybody, and I mean, like most people with an eye on the internet and YouTube and game forums and such, there have been a lot of people who've been complaining of disconnects. I have certainly had none. I've never been dropped out of the game. The only issue I have ever had was the evening of the first patch that Bungie released, when there was obviously some stability issues on the instancing and the matchmaking. Trying to get a fire team together was just Russian roulette at that stage.
Really?
But we could still get people in. I was playing with a good buddy of mine, 2000B, and I was trying to get another buddy of mine, Kin Grunt, into the match, and I could get 2000B in, but Kin Grunt was getting in, then not hearing us, and then dropping out and disappearing. So yeah, that has probably been the worst. But that was one evening, and that was probably for the space of about an hour and a half.
I mean, thankfully, I haven't seen any of that. Well, on PS anyway, that I haven't anyway. There was an instance where I was doing a strike, and for some reason, I went to do a melee attack, and the game completely froze. But thankfully, PS4 that didn't completely freeze up. I was managed to get out the game and restart the game again. But it completely, basically, had threw me out the whole game as such. Bit strange. I don't know, maybe if I wouldn't say if I was playing it too long. It's more than likely going to be a connection issue, I would have thought. But that's the only issue with that, and for some reason my level didn't show up on the little
with the kind of post-mission screen?
Yeah, for some reason I'd go into my inventory and then my level would show up and my badge and all that rubbish, and then as soon as you go into that bit where you're in the spaceship flying above the planet, it would come up level 0. It never caused any problems. I was still able to gain XP and things like that, but that's the only two things that I've ever basically been witness to so far anyways, which has been pretty good when you think about it.
No, certainly. I mean, I doffed my cap to Bungie last week. I will do the same again. This is in no way, shape, or form a charlatan asking for favour from the great Bungie. But if a Bungie employee just happened to listen to this podcast, and if you want to give me free DLC codes so I can give you like a fair review, I won't say no to that.
The thing is, you'll get a lot of people like, "Oh, you're selling out," and all that rubbish. And
yes,
like, but anyone would.
Your point being? No, but it is a shameless self-promotion, but it is the internet.
But I think definitely we should focus on the controversy that's happening at the minute. Everyone talking about the shortness of the game.
Dun, dun,
yeah, the shortness of the game, the lack of things really to do, and this whole stupid getting a new armor piece that has a light stat in order to keep on leveling up. And the thing is, I thought when I heard that is, yeah, you get your light stat, and you can, as soon as you've got a piece of armor that has that, you can level up as you normally would, but it's not like that at all.
Oh wait, I'm thinking, did we just break internet protocol and not post spoiler alert for anybody who's maybe had their head in the sand while playing the game?
I'll add that to the video.
Yeah, just put it in text.
I'll just put a big awooga, Wooga. Nah.
There is information that may ruin your personal enjoyment of this game. Please continue to listen.
So how far along are you in the story of the game?
In the story, I have literally just completed the first mission on Venus. Have introduced myself to the Vex for the first time, and opened up the mission on the Outer Rim. The reason why I'm a little bit further behind than what I was anticipating, I reckon I would have been through the story and completed it by now, but I've been grouping up a lot, and the people I've been playing with have picked the game up at different times. It wasn't always necessarily at launch, and we lead what you would consider quite average lives. People I play with, we work, we have schedule, family commitments, the whole 9 yards you would expect. So not everybody's got all the time to play. But I've hit level 15, but I don't feel that I've actually got that much of the game left to cover. I do feel like I'm working up to the sort of the crescendo. I mean, just the pacing of it alone makes me feel I'm that far along. But I've been repeating. I mean, I could probably walk through the Cosmodrome with my eyes closed at this stage. I've repeated each of those missions multiple times with different friends online. But in credit to the game, the repetitiveness of the missions has been buffered just by playing with good friends. The banter that you have when you're playing with friends and colleagues, people that you can laugh and joke with. It's a social experience, and that's what makes these types of games. But
that's the thing, though. If it wasn't for that, I don't think this game would hold up to say that another like AAA title or whatever. To be honest, I think that's the only thing that's holding it. The audience as such, because at the end of the day, I went through the whole game, completed the storyline.
Mm-hmm.
I was level 16. Completely solo. I never did anything with anybody else. It was completely solo. Level 16, I was done. And I was kind of sitting there thinking, what do I do now? And every single mission was exactly the same. And I know with shooters, all shooters are pretty much exactly the same. Shoot this guy, shoot that guy, and that's the end of the game. But I keep on thinking about Halo, and the Halo storyline.
It's impossible not to draw comparisons.
The Halo line sucked you in. You were the chief. You had Cortana at your sides, and you actually cared about your role. You cared about your little AI companion, and you were sucked into it up to the last moment. And you gasped at the end of the game, and I gasped pretty much all the time. But in this game, I didn't care.
A lack of gasps.
A lack of gasps. I just didn't care. Like, I didn't care about my character. I didn't care about the little flipping ghost dude. There was no sense of urgency given to me at all by any of the story of the game. There was no like a real threat. It didn't feel real. Well, not that it is real, but most games immerse you so much that it kind of, you feel the threat level and you're trying your best to get through it. But on this, it just didn't do it.
I think that's a fundamental problem though with the design of any RPG. Now, especially an MMO. Now, you can take an RPG, a first-person shooter, and you can story base it, and you can say, right, it's going to have a beginning, it's going to have a middle, it's going to have an end. This is a game or a universe that Bungie have said they're going to support for 10 years. 2 years' time, we're going to have the next iteration that you'll have to buy. So obviously, they're going to be expanding the universe, adding more to it. Now, that being said, the problem is, especially when you're doing something, because what you want people to do is reach the end of the story and continue playing.
Yeah. You want them to be biting for the next, part of the story.
Yeah, it's the grind, it's the acquisition, the ever increasing power curve that you will go along, that constant improvement. And let's be honest, I understand a lot of people going, "Oh, it's just Borderlands with a different paint scheme. It's just another first-person shooter. Oh, it's all run and kill X number of people, and at least you don't have to fetch them back like you do with your standard fetch quests." And I get that, I understand that. Now, maybe I'm cutting Destiny a bit of slack on that, but I personally kind of feel that there isn't any game out there that isn't repetitive. Yeah. Christ, look at Tetris. All you did was play with gravity, for crying out loud. And how addictive was that?
Yeah.
The fact is, if you build a concept, and the concept in Destiny is, and you look at the live action trailer, I think that sums it up brilliantly. I love that. It's suitably tongue in cheek. When the three of them are standing on the the side of the moon crater and the door to the temple.
Yeah.
He's like, "Should I knock?" And he blows it up with a rocket launcher. It's like, now this is a party. Some music, play something classical, and then the Who kicks in. And it's like, that kind of chatter is exactly what you get with your buddies. That kind of laugh and camaraderie. It's like, fun enough as a buddy of mine, when 2000B was saying the other day, it's like, you watch those E3 demos for the likes of Tom Clancy, The Division, and like they'll get everybody up on stage, and it's like they'll have the suitable demographic, one from each ethnicity to keep everybody happy.
You mean the demos where you can actually not die?
Well, it's not just that, but it's like the stage demos that they do, where they've got the wonderfully beautiful people playing games.
Yeah, where they've got like infinite powers and shit.
Well, it's not just that, just the people on stage. They got like Jeff. And they've got like Carl, and they've got like Susie, and they've got Tom.
And we've never met before, haven't we?
No. We've never met before, but we all work for the same media company. And it's like, it's like they'll be running through a level and they'll be going, "Oh, watch your foot, watch your footing, Jeff. It's quite dangerous down here." Roger that. And it's like, you and I have played games online since time immemorial. We have played games that have involved violence, and games where we have been shot at. Now, I have never, ever once in a 3D virtual environment ever told you to watch where you're sticking your foot. I have called you some offensive names, you have called me some offensive names. We have lambasted each other, we have complimented each other. And that's what makes the game. And that ties in, and I can understand for people who are maybe playing solo, that the repetitiveness really becomes apparent really quickly. If you're not buying into that, or you don't get caught by that hook, then yeah, the game's gonna get dry pretty quickly.
I mean, I think that's what everyone seems to be mistaken about Destiny. I mean, I'm going to cut it some slack just for a second. That's the mistake that people are making about this. It's like, oh yeah, it was like super flipping short, and I completed it before I was even level 20 and all that sort of shit. But the thing is, I know a lot of people don't like multiplayer games, but Destiny, at the core, is a multiplayer game. Mm-hmm. That's the only way you're going to get full enjoyment out of it. Yeah, the storyline's pretty bland. Yeah, it's kind of repetitive, but when you've got a bunch of people with you, that's when it makes it a bit more fun.
Exactly.
The only thing, I'm finished cutting it some slack. With being an MMO, I kind of miss some of the standard things MMOs usually come with, though, like NPCs out in the field. What happened to that?
fair point. Well presented. There's actually nothing of that, is there?
It's absolutely like, honest to God, an MMO without NPCs out in the field. I mean, to be honest, you don't actually ever have to speak to any of the NPCs in the tower unless you're getting some new gear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you'll be guided to that. You'll be handheld.
You'd never get a conversation with anything. The only time you get a conversation is with the ghost. You don't speak to anyone else. You get a random cutscene every so often with that exo female, and you know it's a bit strange for an MMO. You know, it's a shooter that's trying to be an MMO, but coming short a little bit.
Yeah, it's to take one that's coming out later this year. You know, Dragon Age Inquisition.
Yeah.
You know, when you step into a BioWare game, there's going to be lots of conversation. There's going to be a lot of backstory. There's going to be a lot that sucks you into it and makes you feel invested. Now, while I would personally say developers like BioWare have gone off the boil, I mean, I remember the original Mass Effect.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the most affecting moments I've ever had in a game, and this is a spoiler alert, but if you haven't played Mass Effect now, shame on you. You should have played it. Now, while as a game it wasn't particularly brilliant, the story was fantastic.
It was a bit buggy.
Oh, the game had some issues,
especially the PC version.
To be sure, Mass Effect 2 was definitely the best in the series, but nothing ever had that moment as that point where you're defending the base where they've got the Reaper, and you then have to make the decision because you've got the nuke in there. You're going to blow this thing to Kingdom Come. Of course, all problems in the world can be solved with a nuke. Just watch any Godzilla movie. And the swarm is coming in, and you have to make a decision. Who do you leave behind? Do you leave behind Jaden? Do you leave behind Ashley? Now, I'd invested in that game probably about 40, 50 hours up to this point because I'd done all the side missions, I'd done all the conversational quests, and because I knew the backstory of both these characters, and it was believable and it was well acted, I actually had to sit and think, and I didn't want to leave either of them behind. I wish there was a third option where I said, well, look, I'll defend it, you guys go.
Yeah.
But obviously that kind of really shortens the life expectancy of the game.
Well, to be honest, he was dead anyway, you know.
Spoilers!
I'll put another sign up.
If you haven't played Mass Effect 2, shame on you. But no, it's like, yeah, you're never going to get that kind of draw with it. And as you say, the storyline in Destiny is functional at best.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. It's like, and this is a bit I find quite interesting because you said you've completed the story hitting level 16.
Yeah.
Now I hit level 15, but I've played a fair bit of the Crucible.
Yeah, same here. A little bit of that. Well,
and the leveling up potential in that is actually quite good.
Especially when you've got the bonuses. Every so often you'll get like do this mode to get a bonus XP or whatever.
Yeah, do the bounties and such like that. But here's another question as well, and something that is confusing me is like, what the hell is spin metal for? And all these other helium pod pickups that I'm getting.
I have no idea, but as soon as I seen one, I had to have it.
Is there a crafting station that I've missed somewhere? Well, can I make my own armor? I presume that's what's going to happen at some stage. The only
time that I've had to use something was, when you can dismantle your guns and
exactly,
armor.
Get some glimmer. Yeah.
You get some glimmer, and you get gun parts. And I know in order to add the extra, I'll say, buffs onto certain weapons, you have to have a certain amount of gun parts. And I'm assuming at some point, when you have like the legendary gear or whatever, these spin metals and whatnot might come into play, or like you said, it might be a crafting thing. I have no idea because it doesn't actually tell you anything. I mean, to be honest, the game itself, from the fucking first moment you're in it, doesn't tell you anything.
Yeah, it's like, go here, shoot this, come back, level up, repeat.
The funniest thing is, the very first bit where you wake up, obviously the ghost like reanimates your body. I don't know, fuck how he did that. The funniest thing is
reasons.
that whole area, I actually found that on the alpha by complete randomness, thinking it was the end of the map, and I did a video on it. It was one of my videos, the last of the Destiny alphas. But it's like from that moment forwards, you haven't a freaking clue except for this little ghost telling you, go to this place and go to that place. There's no rather than the grimoire things that you can go on the website, that's your only source of information. But I mean, the last thing I want to do is have to go online to read about what actually the hell is going down.
Exactly.
I want the game to tell me that. So it doesn't tell you about really the armor systems. It doesn't tell you about the different types. The legendary and the rares and the commons and the uncommons. It doesn't tell you what any of these spin metal things do and what other flipping crazy things you got on different planets. Yeah, it's just.
Yeah, there's
it's like a bad Asian movie, where every Japanese movie
is a broad statement.
This is happening. Get on with it. It's like, yeah, we're halfway through the fucking storyline. I don't care. Just watch the movie.
Deal with it. It won't make sense by the end, but you'll be entertained.
It's like Parasite Eve, the movie. If you've ever seen that,
good God, man,
was the craziest freaking movie. I had from this day forward. I have still no idea what the hell that thing was all about. But I digress.
Ever so slightly. That was a wild tangent I did not expect.
You got to throw a wild tangent every so often.
Parasite Eve, God no. Down after that.
So the raids and the strikes and things like that. How are you finding those? Because you've obviously been doing some of them.
Well, yeah, no, it's quite interesting actually. Because one thing I was fully prepared to complain about, one thing I was actually very disappointed in was the fact that the public events. It's like I've stumbled into one public event, and I'm like,
what am I doing here? Oh shit!
It's like. I remember playing DC Universe Online, and it's like I killed Gorilla Grodd like about 10 times by the time I'd finished in Metropolis. It's like he was always showing up. It was that's kind of like the total opposite end of the spectrum, where it's like, oh, what should we do? I'll give public events every 20 minutes. Off you go. But obviously today it was announced that Bungie, we're going to be doubling the frequency which these happen. Okay, well that's good. I mean, the raids and the strikes, I mean, I'm sure most of us have probably watched the first heroic raid, and that looks insane.
Yeah.
It is literally just a case of, don't blink. You're probably going to die.
And the level that you've got to be, you've got to be 24, is what they're saying.
To stand any
even stand a chance.
chance.
And you're like, that's ridiculous.
I think they have kind of, they've jumped the shark a little bit with that one.
I mean, I've done some of the Vanguard strikes, the Vanguard Wolf strikes and things like that, and even those are, at times, depending on the other team members, the other two team members, are flipping solid at times, and that's only on hard. That's at level 22, and, it's like, I'm getting my ass kicked on this. I do not want to see what this glass flipping ceiling or tower, what the hell the mission's called.
Exactly. What's that going to involve?
Someone just like earlier today, a few hours ago today, managed to complete it. A team of people, obviously. I'm like, wow, they really have set that way too high. To be honest, they should be setting it quite a bit lower for everyone to kind of enjoy,
Well, yeah, there is that. I mean, what was it? It took them like 11 hours and 11,000 deaths or something like that to complete. It was like, I'm sorry, it's like I can understand a challenge, but there's a point where I think you're kind of going beyond what's actually fun and enjoyable. And I think that's one thing that Bungie, admittedly this is the first attempt, so hopefully, I mean, we'll see this improve. I mean, you think of World of Warcraft when it came out and how it is today. I mean, granted, it's been subject to a massive power creep.
Yeah.
But, the game has evolved, and I think that's one thing that we're going to see with Bungie as well.
I mean, we'll try and wrap this up as quick as possible, because we want to be able to have things to talk about for next.
Exactly.
Because hopefully this will go on for a little while. But yeah, my main points really is single player, quite
too short,
way too short. It's not really an MMO, because at the end of the day, there's no NPCs that you need to speak to. There's no continual, MMOs are the most flipping repetitive thing on the planet, and yeah, this is repetitive, but there's no NPCs out in the fields. There's literally no information about what's going on out in the field. You're just getting told, go to this place, come back, go to the tower, pick up a new weapon, go back out again, do that again, come back, pick up another weapon. And so
new shinies.
So yeah, like new shiny things, yay! And hopefully you get a blue or even a purple,
Because everything's better when it's purple.
Yeah, I got a nice purple shader.
I'll just leave you with that mental image.
God damn it!
So it's a family-friendly show. Not anymore.
I can't get it out of my head.
No, I'm not going to do the "that's what she said" joke. Oh damn! I just did.
Yeah, last pointers from you.
Last pointers from me. Well, yeah, single player very short. Though I am interested to see what the 2 DLC packs are going to bring. Are these going to be like episodic updates? Are they going to add more? That could be interesting.
They're so expensive.
They are very expensive, but
It's the price of another game.
The thing I worry about a little bit is what the hell is going to happen with the level cap.
Yeah.
Because
they're going to increase it and then they're going to reset it.
Yeah, where's the progression potential? Why are you going to want to spend £36 on additional DLC if you've already hit level 26?
And is it going to be worth the money? Is it going to be lengthy? You know, I doubt it.
Yeah, well, what's it bringing? So, I must admit, it's like, I went into this open-eyed. I mean, I'll be honest, I've never been the longest-term committer to any MMO. That most have failed to hold my attention. But I went into this with open eyes and thought to myself, okay, let's see what they can do. I must admit, fantastic start, but I'm starting to see cracks now. Mm-hmm. And it's one of these things, it's like, Bungie are going to have to go some to maintain momentum and keep people invested.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and if you're watching this and you're like a hardcore MMO RPG kind of guy like I have been, I've lived too many years on Star Wars Galaxies and City of Villains and all that stuff, but you're going to be disappointed because at the end of the day, they're just calling it an MMO, but it's not an MMO as you're going to, basically, as you would know it.
As you come to expect.
Yeah, exactly. So, next Wednesday, we'll be back on your channel, Kahuna.
Indeed.
And hopefully we'll have, I don't know, something to talk about. It doesn't have to be positive, it doesn't have to be negative, but at least...
You know what? I quite like the fact that I think, obviously as these podcasts are going along, our opinions are going to evolve. And it's going to be interesting to see. We started off incredibly positive. We have perhaps tempered that a little bit in this one. We're being a little bit more realistic. We'll see what the next one has to hold.
Next week I'll be like, this is flipping horrible! I'm not playing it ever again!
You're so cynical, man. Come on, have a little faith, baby. Have a little faith.
That's just my future insight.
Take a couple of the pills, you'll be fine.
Too many pills. Anyway. Right, guys, well, thanks for watching, and you know what to do. Keep on subscribing and liking, and leave some comments, because, I like to read. I would say I've not got much of a life. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say...
You're helping someone. Please, people, if you're listening, this is the Help the Outcast Zero campaign here. Please comment. Please subscribe.
You need to learn to read. The
additional text goes a long way. It's making such a positive difference.
I'm a bit rusty. I was never good at reading at high school. No. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and we will see you later.
See you next week.